The first time I saw her, I thought she was going to kill me. Her fur was a deep, shimmering silver, catching the light of the twin suns as she emerged from the dense underbrush of the alien forest. Her eyes glowed like molten gold, piercing through the shadows. She was taller than any wolf I'd ever seen, easily 7 feet on her hind legs, and her claws looked like they could shred through steel. But it wasn't just her size or her predatory grace that made my heart stop. It was the intelligence in those eyes. She wasn't just an animal. She was something more. I froze, my hand hovering over the stun pistol at my belt. I was part of a survey team on this uncharted planet, cataloging flora and fauna for potential colonization. We'd been warned about the local wildlife, but nothing in the briefings had prepared me for her. She tilted her head, studying me with an unnerving focus. I could see her nostrils flare as she caught my scent. My heart pounded in my chest, but I forced myself to stay still. Running would only trigger her predatory instincts. Fighting was out of the question. She'd tear me apart before I could even draw my weapon. Then, to my shock, she stepped closer. Her movements were deliberate, almost cautious, as if she were the one afraid of me. I held my breath as she closed the distance between us, her golden eyes never leaving mine. When she was close enough to touch, she lowered her head and sniffed at my hand. Her breath was warm against my skin, and I could feel the faint rumble of a growl in her chest. And then, she did something I'll never forget. She nuzzled my hand. It was such a simple, almost domestic gesture, but it sent a jolt of surprise through me. Her fur was softer than I expected, and the warmth of her body was oddly comforting. I hesitated for a moment before gently running my fingers through the thick fur on her neck. She let out a low, contented rumble like a purr and leaned into my touch. That was the moment everything changed. Over the next few days, the wolf girl, I started calling her Lyra, became my constant shadow. She followed me everywhere, her presence both comforting and slightly unnerving. First, my team thought it was hilarious. "Looks like you've made a friend," my colleague Dr. Patel joked. But as the days went on, it became clear that Lyra wasn't just friendly. She was protective. Started small. If anyone got too close to me, Lyra would step between us, her golden eyes narrowing in warning. At first, it was just a low growl or a bared fang, but as her bond with me deepened, her protectiveness became more intense. One day, when Dr. Patel clapped me on the shoulder a little too hard, Lyra lunged at him, her claws inches from his face. I barely managed to pull her back in time. "What the hell, man?" Patel gasped, his face pale. "That thing's dangerous." "She's not a thing," I snapped, more defensively than I intended. "She's just protective." But Patel wasn't the only one who noticed. Soon the entire team was giving me a wide berth, and I couldn't blame them. Lyra's behavior was escalating. She wouldn't let anyone within 10 feet of me without growling or snapping. Even our team leader, Captain Reyes, wasn't immune. When she tried to debrief me one evening, Lyra positioned herself between us, her fur bristling and her teeth bared. "This is getting out of hand," Reyes said, her voice tight with frustration. "You need to do something about her, or I'll have no choice but to report this to command." I knew she was right, but the thought of losing Lyra made my chest ache. She wasn't just some wild animal. She was my companion, my friend. And in a strange way, I felt responsible for her. She'd chosen me for reasons I couldn't understand, and I couldn't just abandon her. The breaking point came a week later. We were setting up a new survey site when a sudden storm rolled in. The wind howled through the trees, and the rain came down in sheets, turning the ground into a slippery mess. In the chaos, I lost my footing and tumbled down a steep ravine. I hit the ground hard, pain shooting through my leg as I heard the sickening crack of bone. Before I could even cry out, Lyra was there. She nuzzled me gently, her golden eyes filled with concern, and then she did something incredible. She crouched low, her powerful muscles coiling like springs, and lifted me onto her back. I clung to her fur as she carried me through the storm, her movements sure and steady despite the treacherous terrain. When we finally reached the camp, the team was in an uproar. "What the hell happened?" Reyes demanded, her eyes wide as she took in the sight of me on Lyra's back. "I fell," I gasped, wincing as I tried to move my leg. She saved me." For a moment no one spoke. Then slowly, the tension in the air began to ease. Even Reyes looked impressed. "Well," she said finally, "I guess we owe her one." But Lyra's heroics didn't change the fact that she was still a wild card. As much as I cared for her, I knew something had to give. The solution came from an unexpected source. One evening, as I sat by the campfire with Lyra curled up at my side, I noticed something strange. Her fur was glowing faintly, a soft silver light that pulsed in time with her breathing. I reached out to touch her, and as my fingers brushed her fur, I felt a sudden, overwhelming rush of emotions. Not just my own but hers. It was like our minds had connected, if only for a moment. That's when it hit me. Lyra wasn't just protecting me because she saw me as part of her pack. She was bonded to me on a deeper, almost psychic level. And if that was the case, maybe I could communicate with her in a way that went beyond words. I spent the next few days trying to strengthen that connection. I focused on my emotions, projecting calm and reassurance whenever Lyra grew agitated. Slowly, I began to see a change in her behavior. She still kept a close eye on me, but her reactions to the rest of the team became less aggressive. She even allowed Patel to approach me once, though she kept a wary eye on him the entire time. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was a start. By the time our mission ended, Lyra had become an accepted, if somewhat unpredictable part of the team. When the shuttle arrived to take us back to the ship, I hesitated. I didn't know if Lyra would come with me, or if she even could. But as I stepped onto the shuttle, she followed without hesitation, her golden eyes fixed on mine. Now, as I sit in my quarters aboard the ship, with Lyra curled up at my feet, I can't help but smile. She's still as protective as ever, and I know there will be challenges ahead. But for the first time in my life I feel like I found something or someone who truly understands me. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way.